thousands of ancient manuscripts contained as impious, President Hollande promised to help restore them. In the midst of his visit, President Hollande was questioned by Malian journalists who wanted to know why the French had gone into Kidal without the Malian army. The suspicion is that France wanted to protect the Tuareg rebels. President Hollande denied the accusation. No part of Mali should remain outside the authority of the legitimate Malian government. Mali's interim president said the battle is not yet over. He was counting on the continued assistance of French troops, whom he thanked for their aid. Together, we liberated Kidal, Tessalit, and together we will pursue the Islamists until the end. The French president also paid tribute to Malian troops and their prowess on the ground. However, in light of recent reports of abuses by Malian soldiers, President Hollande advised troops to be vigilant. I would also ask you to be attentive to your actions and to those of your Malian brothers, and also to the possible reprisals during the mission, and to protect civilians. The two leaders will next head to Bamako, where President Hollande is expected to turn over operations to the Malian army and the Joint African Mission, whose task will be to eliminate the pockets of Islamist rebels entrenched there.
Meantime, Amnesty International is criticizing summary executions of civilians reportedly committed by the Malian army in the north of the country. Amnesty is basing its cases on eyewitness testimony while tasking the French army to help probe. And British Prime Minister David Cameron visits Monrovia, Liberia for United Nations Conference on Poverty. For these and other stories, let's join this news hour by CFI.
Amnesty International is criticizing summary executions of civilians reportedly committed by the Malian army in the north of the country. The human rights organization is basing its cases on eyewitness testimony and is also calling to task the French army concerning an air raid. In Kona, 5 civilians were killed during a bombing, but all around the site there were no radical Islamic groups. French military authorities are denying any involvement in the air raid, stating that French planes were not active in that area that day. Amnesty wants an investigation to determine if international human rights were violated. British Prime Minister David Cameron is in Monrovia, Libya, for a United Nations conference on poverty. Cameron met with Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf concerning the program that was set up 3 years ago. There has been progress in the field of health, but Liberia has a long way to go in terms of giving an education to its children. This was one of the goals of the UN program. There was a demonstration in front of the military court in Rabat, Morocco. 24 Sahrawis from the Western Sahara region are on trial for killing security force members. 11 national policemen were killed in 2010 during the dismantling of a separatist camp in the contested region. The families of the police are demanding justice, while the defense is criticizing what it calls a political trial. The Western Sahara is a contested region controlled by Morocco, claimed by a separatist movement, and also by Algeria.
In Egypt, at least one person was shot and killed outside the country's presidential palace in Cairo. It was yet another day of violent clashes between police and protesters. CNN's Ben Wiedemann reports from Cairo amid widespread discontent within the new regime.
Riot police beat a semi-naked man on the ground. Images captured live on Egyptian television of a protest turned violent in Cairo. While flames lick at the gates of El Ittihadiyya Palace, official seat of the Egyptian presidency. A young man shoots fireworks over the walls of the palace, covered in anti-Muslim Brotherhood graffiti. Fireworks not of celebration, but of contempt for their president, the Brotherhood's Mohamed Morsi.
This person's bad.
And liar.
He is a very big liar.
He's a liar. He's a big liar. He's a very big liar.
The people want to topple the regime, they chant, a familiar refrain in a country where the head of state no longer rests easy. The demonstration started not quietly but peacefully. Thousands of young and old men and women making their way toward the palace. At least here, Egypt's spirit of revolution shows no sign of flagging. Dictator after dictator, this young man chants. Mohamed Morsi, your turn is next. Morsi won more than 50% of the vote in Egypt's first ever presidential elections last summer. Professor Saeed al-Nashai voted for Morsi, but now wants him to give up power.
It is the dog who's holding to the piece of meat like a bad dog who insists on that causes violence. All the violence that happened till now is caused by the system, the regime.
Cairo has never been a brotherhood stronghold, and in the brave new Egypt, the people don't hesitate to take it to the top.
Once upon a time, the Egyptian president lived in a bubble. He didn't hear what he didn't want to hear. He didn't see what he didn't want to see. That bubble has burst.
Behind the bored police recruits, behind the armored vehicles, Mohamed Morsi was inside and may have heard the chants for him to go. But along with anger at the president is mounting frustration with the opposition led by the National Salvation Front.
It's totally nonsense. Political dialogue, are you kidding me? The Salvation Front are absolutely doing nothing. And they do not have any control upon Egyptians. Those Egyptians go to the streets by themselves.
And they don't appear ready to leave the streets anytime soon. Ben Wiedemann, CNN, Cairo.
Byron, since they are in Cairo, Egypt, we'll take another break, but sports news is next.
At EcoBank, we see a great future, one that's full of opportunity for those who want to be the best. With over 1,000 branches of a single bank across 33 African countries. It's a future where trade can flourish without boundaries. The future is breathtaking, with enormous cross-border investments helping business and government build new infrastructure, while individuals achieve their ambitions right across Africa. The future is Pan-African, and EcoBank is the Pan-African bank.
Welcome back, and it's now time for the sports news with my colleague Fatou Jassi. Fatou Jassi, what's up?
Thank you very much, Farmer. The Lusaka Olympic Center has become a source of national pride in Zambia. Young people from all walks of life are making the most of the multipurpose center to improve their sporting abilities. For many, it's a place to nurture the big dream of a major break in sports one day. We have more in this report.
Ernest is on his way to the Multi-Sports Center, where he will meet his friend Major for a workout. These young Zambians both play netball. In fact, Major is the assistant coach for the team. The Olympic Center on Kabwe Road in Lusaka is the perfect place for them to train or just hang out, and the reasons are plenty.
After training for the training session for netball, you can go to football. From there, you good basketball. Yeah, we have everything under one roof. And the uniqueness of this place, you can even see the way they made the netball pitches. It's unique, very much unique. Even the football grounds, unique, the running tracks.
It helps youth. Instead of going for drinking or maybe getting a fight somewhere, they just come here and then do their trainings. Then after that, they go home and refreshen up. That's it. The day ends there.
Every individual should have access to sport. This is the principle behind the top-of-the-range, well-maintained sports complex. The center is a pilot project of the International Olympic Committee's Sports for Hope program. Since it opened 3 years ago, it's been attracting over 10,000 youth a month for 17 different sports. Funding comes from the IOC, the government, and the private sector, and the entrance is free of charge.
You get the advantage of promoting sport, as the more you host these events, international events especially, in a country, you motivate and inspire the masses and young people to enroll into sport, and possibly you're able to capture more talent and more spectatorship.
So far, the International Olympic Committee's project in Zambia appears to be a big success. The center hosted its first international event in December when the Olympic pool was completed in time for the regional leg of the Africa Youth Games. The IOC will continue with the project on other continents